Let me say just a little word, and I hope I won't upset you right now, but I mean this. I really mean this. I'm not trying to build a college. I'm not trying to build a church. We've been here for 32 and a half years, and we've just been doing what he said, trying to help everybody we can. But I have some wonder if maybe your preacher boys shouldn't go away to college. I'm afraid that you keep them home and train them at night. I'm not trying to get your students. God knows I'm not. But there's something you get when you got to tough it through college, and especially when you're with the men, scores and maybe several hundred of them that you're going to spend your whole life's ministry with. I'm not trying to hurt anybody, and some of my dearest friends are making it where your young preacher boys can stay at home and keep their houses, keep their jobs, and prepare to preach at night. I hope this will not infringe upon or affect our friendship at all. But I wonder if that's the wise thing to do. When I see these young men, I remember when they were in school, I heard Keith Gomez say, I was preaching with him down in Alabama, and northern Alabama, Athens, and he told how he was on a staff down in Baton Rouge, but hadn't been to college, hadn't been to Christian college and been trained. And so he told how he decided God wanted to go to college. He wanted that degree. And brother, he took off, sold everything. He and his wife took off. You know how you do, U-Haul truck or a trailer, just like you did. They took off for college. He said his whole dream was to get that degree. Just that piece of paper, he has his whole dream. For 4 years, they toughed it out, lived in little dingy apartments, and he went to school by day and worked by night. Came home once every month, kissed his wife, spanked the kids, or vice versa. And but he and his wife had one dream. That was to get that degree. And that was it. He said finally the night came. I stood right here. He walked across this platform, and I gave it to him. He looked out and hollered at people, and he said, I've got it, I've got it, I've got it. Finally had that piece of paper. Went over here and sat down and wanted to look at it. Opened it up, and it said, we're sorry, we can't give you a degree. You owe $5 on your tuition payment. And he still hadn't gotten it. Pastor Bill Burr, would you please go by Ms. O'Brien's office immediately? Room 217, Miller Hall, Pastor Bill Burr. Now I want to talk to you for a while. I told you in the publicity I sent out that I was going to give you some things, say some things I'd never said before, out to publicly at least. And I did that yesterday morning. I'm both going to teach you a while, and I'm going to talk to you a little while about personal things, and along with it I'm going to teach you something. I really think I know what I'm talking about right now. I know I do. Most of you, and I mean this, most of you could out-preach me. Most of you could out-teach me when it comes to teaching the Bible. But I'm on ground right now where I know where I stand. You see this church just like you saw it 5 years ago. You folks who were here Sunday, same old church, still here. The gates of hell have not prevailed against it. Still here. I want to talk to you for a while on what to do to get your people to stand with you when the trials come. I've never seen. I marvel at this church. I marvel at it. I mean, there's not a more united church in this country or the world than First Baptist Church Hammond is. I marvel at it. Now let me talk to you a minute. You let your people wake up on a Sunday morning and go get the morning newspaper. in the local area, and it's a big newspaper, and see their pastor's name smeared, front page, top headline. You let those same people look and find 3 other articles on the front page. By the way, this was the same time when the Chinese were having their revolution, a little mini revolution over there. Made the front pages in all the papers across the country except the Hammond Times. You let your people wake up some morning and then find above the Chinese revolution a headline smearing their preacher. You let that newspaper run article after article for months against you. You let that newspaper delegate one reporter never to miss anything goes on in your church for 1 year. For 1 year. One reporter sat in this room in every service. And usually 2 reporters. One reporter didn't miss anything for a year, and one night I got up and asked her to stand. She didn't, but I told her I have a faithful attendance certificate to give you. You let that newspaper, the only newspaper in the Calumet region, or this Hammond area, there's one over in Gary, but you let that newspaper, most influential newspaper in this whole area, vow to your destruction. And let your people read day after day. You let your people drive down the streets, and every time they see one of these little vending machines that sells newspapers, on the front of it, that little television-like thing on the front of it, let them read more Hyles this Sunday. That's what the Hammond Times did. All over town, every time you saw a little machine that sold newspapers, right on the front of it, more Hyles this Sunday. You let your people turn on the national TV and see their pastor on national TV lied about and smeared. That's what my folks have been through. The lowest day of my life was that day. I was preaching in Marietta, Georgia. I'm sorry, Marietta, Ohio. The day that was going to be on national TV. I wouldn't look at a newspaper. I didn't want to see the television log or some advertisement about it. At 6 o'clock that night, it was on locally there, and I was to preach at 7. I never watched it. I haven't watched it yet. That was the lowest day of my life. You let your people tune in on national TV and let their friends call them and say, your pastor's on TV now nationally. You let them check out the supermarket, and right there on the supermarket is a smut magazine. Your pastor's name's on it. Try that on for size. And an article in that smut magazine against your preacher. You let them turn the radio on and hear Paul Harvey mention me on national radio. Let them go to the Christian bookstore in the area and find a magazine that put pages and pages to slander me available free to everybody that walked in the Christian bookstores. At least 2 of them I could tell you about in this area. You let your friends, the friends of your members, call you from all over the country and say, I just saw your pastor on national TV. Or I just read an article about your pastor in the Globe Smut magazine. Or I just read an article, Associated Press article, it's gone all over the country about your pastor. You let them go to work the next morning. Everybody at work says, I read about your pastor. You have 3 or 4 people write entire books about you. Let them come to your church before the service on Sunday and spread those books around the buildings, in the pews, telephones. And then you go to preach on Monday and somebody's been there on Sunday to spread those books before you got there on Monday. You have your people bombarded. And then you have your people stand like the Rock of Gibraltar behind you. This building every Sunday night is as full as it is right now. In fact, more so. It's amazing. I owe my ministry to these people. Now, what I want to talk to you about, what caused it. What caused it? I'm going to give you some things that caused it, and things that if you'll do, chances are your people will stick beside you. Number one, get your people to know you. Get your people to know you. That's pretty tough in this church. If our men go hunting, we're going to have to rent a fleet of jet planes. No way it can be done. No way. I have people in this room right now, for the dozens, who would love to shake my hand one time, members of my church. I go around the country signing Bibles. I have to weep when I can't sign the Bibles of the people I love the most. If I sign the Bible next Sunday morning, I've been signing Bibles all day long. I wouldn't preach. My people don't have my name in their Bible. I have people who don't. I have people been coming here for years. We've never spoken to each other yet. You know, these ideas we've had this week are fabulous. But let us try to have a new members reception in my home next week. I mean, my life is spent trying to let my people know Jack Hyles. Number one, get your people to know you. Everybody has access to me. Everybody has access to me. One of our college students the other day wrote me a letter, one of the sweetest I've ever received. Said, "Dear Brother Hyles, you've never met me, you don't know my name, I've never shaken your hand, but I have the strangest idea that you love me." And he's right. Now, how do I give my people access to me? Number one, every Sunday night, 6:10 to 6:50, I stand right where I'm standing right now and let my people ask me questions. We can't sit together around a table and let them ask me questions. But for a quarter of a century, I've come in here every Sunday night at 6:10. No format at all. Just any question you want to ask me, you ask me. That gives everybody in my church, if they want to ask me something, they can ask me. Secondly, every Sunday morning after the service, with few exceptions when emergencies arise, I go to my office after the service, and I stay there as long as people who are non-college people want to come to ask me questions or advice or counsel. Sunday night, I do the same thing for college men. Wednesday night, I do the same thing for college ladies. So if anybody wants to see me, they can see me. Sometimes I'm 1:30 in the afternoon, even leaving my office. I've been as late as 11 o'clock at night leaving my office. But my people do have a chance to see me if they want to see me. I said big number one, get your people to know you. Under that I said, everybody has access to me. And then under that, number two, walk slowly all the time. Is this mic okay? Can you hear it okay? Walk slowly all the time. I try to learn from everybody. Turn me up just a little bit, fellas, if you would, just a tad. I try to learn from everybody. Jacqueline Kennedy taught me something, though I've never shaken her hand, thank God. When President Kennedy was assassinated in Dallas years ago, when he got off the airplane, there were thousands of people there at the Dallas airport. I'm sorry, it was Ted Kennedy. No, Sir John Kennedy said this to Jacqueline. He said, Jacqueline, he said, walk slowly through the crowd. Walk slowly through the crowd. I never forgot that. And that's what I do. I walk slowly through the crowd. This man right here knows I'm telling you the truth. He's one of our guards, and so this man knows the same thing. He's one of our guards. I walk out that door on Sunday morning. Before I get down to the main level of that room in there, I've shaken hands with 3 or 4 people and chatted with 3 or 4 people. When I get down to the bottom of those steps there, on my left there'll be an ex-convict, his wife and little boy. We've tried to nurture him back best we can, and I love him very much. I pastored, I almost was a father figure to that little boy while his dad was in prison. I kept his mother clothed and fed much of the time while his dad was in prison. I'll stop at the bottom of the steps. Little boy will give me a $1 bill or a coin or something or a piece of candy. And the ex-convict will rush over and throw his arms around me. He'll say, I love you. And I'll say, I'm so proud of you. I'm walking back to my office. I've had a busy day. I've taught my Sunday school class. I've preached. I'm walking slowly through the crowd. I'll walk a few feet. On the left there will be the cutest little boy you ever saw, but he has muscular dystrophy. Or multiple sclerosis. I think muscular dystrophy. Will never be normal. Mentally, he's retarded. Physically, he's crippled. And he'll hug me. He must be now getting up 8-10 years old. Every Sunday morning, all these years, ever since he's been old enough to go in there, he'll hug me. Try to get my glasses. I'll tell him I love him. His little sister will be hiding behind me, and she'll try to hide from me, and I'll find her. I'm walking slowly through the crowd. It may be 5 minutes after I leave this pulpit that I even get to the outside door. Then a little boy and his mom and dad will be over here, and he'll hand me a little package of cheese crackers or something. I'll tell him I love him, and I'll hug him and shake hands with his parents. And then one of our men will have his wife and their 2 little children in their arms, and they'll give me a little piece of candy, and I'll hug them. I haven't gotten outside yet. I'm walking slowly through the crowd. I wouldn't be surprised, but between right here and my office on some Sundays, 100 people I'll shake hands with. There'll be a retarded adult boy out here at the door, and I'll hug him and tell him I love him. Walking slowly through the crowd. Now you wait a minute. The television program didn't affect this ex-convict down here at the bottom of the steps. He'd believe me before he'd believe a television program. He'd believe me before he'd believe a news reporter. He'd believe me before he'd believe a book writer or a tape maker. Get your people to know you. Number 3, all impromptu talk in the early service should be done by the preacher. All impromptu talk, and especially as your church gets bigger, all impromptu talk should be done by the preacher. I make the announcements here. I don't want to. I'd like to stay and think about my sermon. While I make the announcements, I want my folks to know me. I want the visitors to like me before I start preaching, to know who I am. I want them to know I'm human. Number 4, use personal illustrations. Use personal illustrations. Most of the people in this room feel like they've been on vacation with me. Most of the people feel like they've traveled with me. I get disgusted. In fact, I'm fed up with theologians. I'm just fed up with them. I'd like to have another Holocaust and get rid of all of them. Fed up with them. Totally fed up with them. They get you preacher boys their dumb theology classes and tell you not to use personal illustrations. They're idiots. Idiots. They've had it with me. I'm sure they'll be sorry to hear this. You ought to use personal illustrations. Why? Let your people identify with you. I used this illustration the other day. I was preaching out of town, lost my glasses. It's time to go to services. I lost my glasses. I looked and I looked and I looked all over my motel room. I couldn't find my glasses. Went in the washroom, couldn't find the glasses. Checked every coat I had, over top coat, the other suit coat, shirt pockets, couldn't find my glasses. Well, I can't read anything without my glasses. Pretty soon they knocked on the door, came to get me. I couldn't find my glasses. I told the preacher, I said, preacher, I'm going to have to ad-lib the whole thing. I might preach a sermon I know real well. I can't even read the Bible. I said, I haven't got my glasses. We went to church, and he said, well, I was a churchman. I said that. I was at church. I said it on the platform. Some layman came to get me, and I said to the pastor, I'm sorry, I can't do my best tonight. I've lost my glasses. He said, why don't you look on your head? And there they were. And everybody in that room identified with that. And everybody in that room felt like they were with me in my room hunting my glasses. And everybody in that room pictured what my room was like. They pictured where my coat was. And they sat beside me on the platform. Now, look, when you guys been people as I've got, this thing packed and jammed every week, you guys people as I've got, they can't know you. You got to work to let them know you. Number 5, let your people know that you need them. Let your people know that you need them. Far too many pastors appear too self-sufficient. I need my people. I need them. I need them, and I let them know I need them. Let your people know that you need them. Don't appear too self-sufficient. Number 6. Let me give you a little, well, not number 6, I'll give you a little illustration. Brother Ray Young has daughters, 3 daughters. His oldest daughter, when she was a little bitty tyke, just barely able to walk, she was trained to meet me at my office between Sunday school and church. I always go back from here. I teach from here and go back at my office and come back and I preach. And by the way, let me say this. You lay people, you force your kids to be able to cross the path of your pastor. When I walk down the alley, there's a line of people there who know that Brother Hyles can't ever come to their house and eat. They know that their children won't know me unless they make their children know me. And there they're lined up outside down the alley. And the parents are seeing to it that at least one time a week their children get to say hello to their preacher, and their preacher hugs their children and shakes their hand. Ray Young's daughter, Jennifer, little tyke about that big, She came by every Sunday morning between Sunday school and preaching, and outside my office she waited for me, and she gave me a big hug. For years, every Sunday, for years and years and years, every Sunday. She started growing up. She got a little big. She got a little too big. She got up around 11, 12 years old, about 11 years old, and I told my wife, I said, I've got to quit hugging that girl sometime. I said, I don't want to do that, but I've got to. By the way, you preachers that hug your women, you're idiots. I mean, you shake their hand briefly like that. Keep your hands off of the women. And for some of you, the men also. I went to Brother Young, and I said, Brother Ray, I said, I'm going to hurt Jennifer. She's been hugging me for years outside my office door. In fact, she may have been younger than that because she's a tall girl and she grew up quickly. And I said, Ray, would you mind if I just shook her hand from now on? He said, I think it's a good idea. I said, would you tell her for me? Brother Hyles loves her very much. But Brother Hyles feels like he has to be careful, and so be okay if I just shake her hand. That's been, I'll never forget that Sunday morning when Jennifer was waiting outside my office. She stuck her hand out. Jennifer's now 5'7" or 8" probably. Lovely young lady. She still still waits for me between Sunday school and preaching to shake my hand. That isn't all. That's caught on. On average Sunday, 10 to 15 kids over there outside my office door, teenagers, and I'll shake their hands, hug the little ones, shake hands with the big ones. Now then, some boys even over there, me to shake their hand. You see, what I'm saying is, you gotta have your folks to know who you are. Walk slowly through the crowd. Next number, be human. Be human. I like what Brother Gomez said a while ago about that. Be human. I say this to our preacher boys. Let your people know you have feet of clay, but don't ever take your shoes off and let them see your feet. Be human. Next number. Let me illustrate a few of those things. At deacons meeting, I'm human. We take care of business at our deacons meeting, but it's like a night out with the boys. We enjoy each other. We cut up with each other. And we love each other. Our teachers meeting, teachers and officers meeting every Wednesday night, same way. Same way. My men's staff meeting is the same way. Let your folks get to know you. One of these days, the problem is going to come. You think Jennifer's going to vote against me at a business meeting? Brother Young would, but she wouldn't. No, she's not going to. Now, fellows, listen, I'm not talking about hearsay today. I hate to say this because God knows I have not one shred of bitterness in my heart toward anybody, and I'll be honest with you. And if you don't believe this is true, test me on it. If Robert L. Sumner were in trouble today and he'd let me, I'd fly down to Corpus Christi, Texas this afternoon, and I'd help that man out of trouble. I mean that with all my heart. I don't have any bitterness at all. But I know what I'm talking about. I know what I'm talking about. I know that the average preacher, the people don't stand beside him because the average preacher has not built up the right kind of rapport with his people, so they will. But here's the sad thing. We preachers are not we don't stand with each other like our people stand for us. That's what's sad. I've had a standing rule all these years. I'm always for the preacher. Always for the preacher. Several things I do. We have a lot of weddings here in the church, having a lot of young people. Every time we have a wedding, I do many things, but one thing I do is drive the night before, or night or two before. I drive to the home of the bride, to the home of the groom, and I'll sit out in front of their house for a while and pray for them. Another thing I do, I can't visit all the hospital people. Johnny Colston takes care of all of that. I can't do it. It's just too many. What do? My folks in the hospital, I drive to the hospital, try to find out where their room is. And many a night, I prayed into the night with my hands on a hospital wall, praying for somebody up there I love like my own life that I can't go see. I'll drive around the hospital when they're having surgery sometimes and pray for God to heal them. When our folks lose a loved one, have a funeral, I never spend less than 4 hours preparing a funeral sermon. I never preach the same funeral sermon twice. Usually, often anyway, I'd say 2/3 of the time, I'll write a poem 50 stanzas long and read it about somebody that's died in our church. And you say, okay, Brother Hyles, I'm going to do this so my folks will stand beside me. No, you do it because you love them, whether they're going to stand beside you or not. Second big point I want to talk about, express your love. Express your love. Say these words, I love you. Say it right now. Say it again. Say it again. Well, you can say it, can't you? Well, then quit saying you're not the affectionate type. Force it. My mom always taught me I'm supposed to do what I'm supposed to do. And if you're supposed to say I love you, whether you are affectionate type or not. Express your love. These men here on the front, my guards. Why, neither one of these guys will go a week without telling me they love me, and I tell them I love them. When I express it individually to men and children. By the way, never express it to a lady. Never. No, I'll tell my ladies in the church, and some of them will tell me sometime, Brother Hyles, our family loves you. But never, I love you. But my security guards, I walk out to the car in the morning, or maybe they'll say goodbye to him at the door of the house at night, and my security guards will, oftentimes, last night, one of them said, I love you, preacher. Express it to your people. Then express it collectively to everybody. Tell your people out loud, openly, well, Brother Hyles, we're not that type. Well, okay, what if you're the alcoholic type? You're supposed to keep on wallowing in a quagmire? No, you're supposed to change. You get forgiven for not being affectionate, like you get forgiven for lying or embezzlement. Some of you women, I'd like to take you and shake you right now. And nobody ever told me they loved me when I was young, and I'm not affectionate. Shut up. Get affectionate. Well, the Hyles, I just can't be sincere. Then tell them you love them and be a hypocrite. My Bible commands me to love. And God never commands you to do anything He will not supply the wherewithal to do. We have the Lord's Supper, and I love the Lord's Supper. No moment or 15 or 30 minutes of the month I love like I love the Lord's Supper. It's a big deal here at First Baptist. We started off, first Sunday of the month, start the service off with it. We don't put it in the tail end of the service. We started off with it. And two of my deacons over here, 2 or 3 of them over here, and all this front row will have deacons on it, and all this front row will have deacons on it, and a couple, 3 over here, and 2 over here, and Lord's Supper table up there, a bunch of them up there, and a bunch of them up here at this table up here, and have a big table over here and a table over here. And I serve the men here, and every one of them, when I walk by them, I speak to them. Every one of them. Hi, fellas. We have men in our church that's been wrongly accused, one of the finest men in our church, been wrongly accused of child molestation. By the way, I get up over and over again, told my people, I'm for him. I'm for him. He's one of the deacons over here. When I walk by him, I squeeze him on the knee, pat him on the knee, squeeze his arm, or I'll whisper, hang in there. What's wrong with being affectionate? Express your love. Every Sunday morning I walk in my Sunday school class. I mentioned the same retarded boy back there. Bless his heart, he must be 30 years old now. On Father's Day one year, he said, Happy Father's Day. And the next Sunday, he said, Happy Father's Day. To him, every Sunday is Happy Father's Day. And I hug him, and he'll tell me he loves me, and I'll tell him I love him. I'll walk a few steps down the way in this room over here. Another retarded fellow, probably 30, 35 years of age, he'll hug me, and I'll tell him I love him. He tells me he loves me. My staff men know how to say I love you to each other, to me. They know how to tell me, and I know how to tell them. Number 3, help everybody you can. Help everybody you can. I'm not rich, but I haven't found anything to do with money but to use it. My wife taught me that. But help everybody you can. Please don't think I'm trying to tell you some things that can be done. I was at the doctor's office a couple weeks ago. A doctor's office. One of my men uses the same doctor. He works for us here. Uses the same doctor. I know the fellow's not been well. Had some problems, and I know he's going to that doctor. I know the guy's having a tough time making it. I was at the doctor's office, and as I paid my bill, I just asked him, I said, don't you have a patient here named so-and-so? And I called the name of this guy. They said, yeah. I said, does he owe you any money? And they looked up and said, yes, it does, and I won't tell you how much it was. I said, I think I'll pay it while I'm here. Well, shall we tell him? I said, just tell him it's somebody who loves him very much paid his bill. That's all I want. The little lady came to me a few years ago. Her face was acne. I wish you could have seen it. She's a beautiful lady, but her face so acne. And the Holy Spirit spoke to me and said, probably nobody's going to help that lady. I know a doctor in this area that can cure anybody's acne. He's one of the best skin doctors I've ever seen in my life. I've sent dozens of patients to. I said, look, you go to that doctor, and I'll call him and I'll tell him I'll pay the bill. And for months and months, that doctor worked on her, and her skin now is as soft or as clear as you ladies are. I had the privilege of standing right here at this altar and marrying her. She'd never have gotten married. She lives in a distant city right now, and they have 2 little children. Every time I go there to preach, I shout a while when I look out and see them sitting there as a happy family. See, your problem is you haven't learned how to live yet. A lot of you right now are saying, I wish you could pay for my acne bill. Your problem's not on the outside of your head, it's on the inside of your head. You missed the whole thing. The other day I walked down the hallway. I shook hands with a little lady and I said, ma'am, are you new here? She said, don't you know me? I said, I don't believe it. She came to my office about 6-8 months ago. She's a pretty lady, but her teeth almost stuck straight out. Almost straight out. And I said, ma'am, before you leave, could I ask you what's wrong with your teeth? She said, everybody else does. You may as well go ahead. I said, what's wrong with your teeth? She told me. And I said, why don't you have them fixed? She said, well, I can't afford it. She had to have surgery on her, oral surgery. So we call it Oral Roberts University. And I called and I said, I promise I'll pay you. And I got the See her. She went to the doctor, had her surgery. I didn't even recognize her. Didn't even recognize her. I'm going to have 15 ladies with buck teeth outside my office door after a while. And 3 husbands are coming for their wives. Oh, by the way, neither of those little ladies believed the articles in the Hammond Times. You do that 33 years, it sort of adds up. You were here the night when the battle was roughest. And I just ask all the people that I'd help financially in any way to stand. I don't have a lot of money. Well, that's why I don't have a lot of money. But 2/3 at least of the people in this auditorium stood up. Down in the human heart, crushed with the tempter, feelings lie buried that grace can restore. Touched by a loving heart, wakened by kindness, chords that were broken can vibrate once more. That man stood a while ago by the Goddard, and I felt the warmth of his heart as he said, I want to help people. I want to help people. That's what it's all about. I want you to come to pastor school. Ladies, I want you to go home, put your pants up, put skirts on. I want you guys to get haircuts and look like men. I want you to have convictions and standards, and I want you to have the old-time religion. That's what I want. But if that's all you get, you'll miss the whole picture. I got hundreds of ladies in this church that don't believe wearing pants is wrong, but they don't wear them because they love me. Look all around you. Find someone in need. Help somebody today. Though it be little, a neighborly deed. Help somebody today. Help somebody today. Somebody along life's way. The friendless befriended. Oh, help somebody today. Look for worn Bibles. Look for little boys and girls whose Bibles are falling apart. Look at shoes that are not decent to wear. Be looking all the time. Number 4, give yourself to others. Give yourself for others. For 32 and a half years, my nights have been given sitting in my office. 32 and a half years. When I'm home, not preaching, I'm right over there in my office counseling. I've seen as many as 95 people one night. A little story I've told, probably you've heard it. We had a young man, went to our school, grew up in our church. His name was Todd Moffett. Todd Moffett went to our Hammond Baptist schools, and I don't think he graduated. I think he quit. He went into sin. He went so far into sin, he wrecked and ruined his life. I knew Todd when he was a little baby. He wrecked his life and ruined it. And Todd Moffett got a motorcycle and covered the country, went all over America, living like a heathen and a pagan. One night, Todd Moffett he told me this, one night he was in St. Louis, Missouri, years after I'd seen him. I hadn't seen him in several years. He was at the end of his rope. He'd tried dope and liquor and women, everything you can try. He was a vegetable. Gone. He put his head on a bar in St. Louis, Missouri, with a motorcycle helmet beside him. And he said, I wonder if anybody in the world loves me. And he said, immediately, Brother Hyles' face came to my mind. And he said loud enough for the bartender to hear him, Brother Hyles loves me. Goes out, gets on his motorcycle, drives to Hammond. It's 11 o'clock one night. I've been counseling since 6. I'm tired to death. I have my coat over my shoulder, walking out to the car, hoping nobody else is in that room in there, that waiting room. Most beautiful sight in the world is an empty waiting room. And this This looked like on the Addams Family, Cousin It. I saw that years and years and years and years and years ago. Years ago, there was a television program called The Addams Family, and I couldn't even see his eyes or his little nose sticking out. He said, "Brother Hyles, you know me?" And I said, I don't think so, sir." He said, "I think you do. I'm Todd Moffett." And I said, "Todd." And I hugged him. He told me the story about St. Louis and the bar, and he said, "Brother Hyles loves me." And here's what he said. I'll never forget it. And I think about this many a night when I want to take off. He said, "Brother Hyles, I came straight to the church. Quote, I knew you'd be here. I knew you'd be here. Thank God I was there." I don't think Todd read Sumner's article. Give yourself to them. In sermon preparation, I spend 20 hours a week in the woods with God. My entire life is built on praying, thinking, and searching for the needs of my people so I can fill them on Sunday and Wednesday. Next number, notice them. Notice them. That's one of these guards. One of the hardest things they got in the world is trying to tell me a funny story walking down the alley. Because I'm always saying, "Hey, that's a pretty suit. Hey, boy, you taking pretty pills, haven't you? Hey, Joe, I'm proud of you." Just walking down the aisle, down the alley, taking notice of people. Mission men. Others. Last, be honest in your neighborhood. Be honest in your neighborhood. Everybody in this town knows I'm a fool. Everybody in this town knows I pay my debts. For 32 and a half years, I've not been late one day on a debt. For 32 and a half years, I've been a gentleman. A nut, but a gentleman. For 32 and a half years, I've given myself to my people. I didn't do it so someday when the battle came, it'd stick with me. I did it because I love them with all my heart. One day, the battle came. 32 years of loving, 32 years of caring, and 32 years of serving. And they rose up and they said, "That's my preacher." And we love him. We believe him. We have confidence in him. Your battle is going to come. Your newspaper is going to come. Your attacks are going to come. When they do, if you love right, and I'm not talking what I think. I know what I'm saying. If you love right and serve right and lived right, 3 years after the battle comes, your church will be stronger than it's ever been before. One Wednesday night, I came home from Kentucky, Louisville, where I'd been preaching. Mrs. Hyles was at the door. The light was on in the living room. And she said, I don't want you to read this. But she said, "This paper right here has got more lies in it than anything you've ever read in your life. I don't want you to read it." And my life was thrown into a hurricane of embarrassment, activity, heartaches and tears. And now for 3 years, it's been that way. But the greatest people that ever sat on church pews, in my way of thinking, have stood behind their preacher like a rock of Gibraltar. May I tell you why? Because for 32 and a half years, I've stood behind them like a rock of Gibraltar. Everybody needs loving. I love that little poster they used to have. I love it with all my heart. Little boy and little girl were look at each other. They used to sell it. It's a little cartoon kind of big poster. Little boy looks at this little girl and he says, "Tell me if you love me or not. You told me once, but I forgot. Tell me if you love me or not. You told me once, but I forgot." I just want to thank God this morning for my people and your people. And I say this again with all my heart. If you love them like you ought to love them. And I look around and see my people here today. Some of them. You love them like you ought to love them. Serve them like you ought to serve them. When the day comes, they'll rally around you. It's a wonderful thing to be a pastor. I feel sorry for anybody else in the whole world. And may I stop to say this also. There's no way in the world I could ever thank you adequately for your friendship to this preacher. We'll come back at 1:35. You're dismissed until then.